Welcome to Calm Your Crazy. I'm Kiana Lambert, and today we are talking about manifestation. What it is, what it isn't, how it works, and next week we are going to be talking about something a little bit more fun, which was my time living off-grid and how that really helped connect me to my spirit. And it was really the beginning of my healing journey. I just didn't know it at the time. Anyway, thanks for being here. I am very excited to share this with you today, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, manifestation. What is it and what it is not? Mainstream people that want to make a lot of money will tell you manifesting is just thinking positive, rewiring your brain, and changing your beliefs to where you repeat something over and over and over again, and then it becomes a belief. And then when you believe about yourself, then you get what you want. That's actually not what it is. That's part of it, but manifestation is everything that you see around you. As a consciousness having a human experience, you are in this vessel, this body, and this body has a magnetic toroid field around it. It's like a donut, and you're in the center of it. And that is how you render your reality. And in esoteric cultures, some of them call it a Merkaba. Science calls it a toroid field. And other people call it Metatron's cube. Like literally you're walking around creating every single thing you see, hear, and touch. There is no magic rule that says you only get manifestation if you're positive. There's no magical rule that says you get worse things if you're negative. What it is basically you rendering the reality that you believe in. It is based on your underlying beliefs and conditions and your childhood and everything that's happened to you. So when you think of manifestation, don't just think of it in the sense that you're only creating when you're positive or you're only creating when you're negative, because you're actually creating this reality all the time through your perception and through your central nervous system. So the reason that it doesn't work for everybody all the time is because we are human and we have human experiences and human emotions, and those affect us. And they affect our nervous system and they affect our brain and our body and the way that we think about things, and that gets reflected into reality. So when you are reading this stuff or seeing all this commercial stuff that talks about manifestation being all this woo-woo stuff and you do all the rituals and everything, all of that is very valid if you believe in it. But if you're someone like me that really needs to know the science behind it, then doing the repeated manifestations and meditations isn't going to work, because I am basically in science first, and then I like to relate it to religion and spirituality and quantum physics later. So when I think of manifestation, for me, manifestation is everything that I see, because that is what quantum physics says. And the way that it changes is through our thoughts and our actions and our feelings. But if your nervous system is based in the past, meaning if you haven't had the best life up until now, if you've suffered abuse or trauma, then those things can get stuck. And if those things get stuck, then it really affects the way that you feel about yourself, you with your shame and your guilt. And we often carry that every single day as we make choices and decisions. We can shame ourselves to the point where it hurts our bodies. We can guilt ourselves over things that we do if we're based in the past and if we're making decisions based on the past. And so it can really affect your entire life if you're always living there and you haven't dealt with those things. Now, Carl Jung, or however you want to say it, he says that you will call everything fate until you make the unconscious conscious. And that's why you can see where your life has been, what it has been up until a certain point. Because if you're always operating off what you don't understand unconsciously, then you're going to be creating unconscious behaviors and you're going to be creating an unconscious life. So in order to stop creating that unconsciously, you have to make the past, your wounds, and your healing conscious so that you can start creating the life that you want and you can start believing that you're worthy of that life. And you can go around the wound. You definitely can manipulate your brain into believing everything, and you can go around the wound and go at it that way. A lot of people do. I don't necessarily tend to do that because I like to work through the things that I feel, and then I want to feel good about myself. And I want to understand the past, and I want to understand the present, and I want to understand how I got here and how I move forward. So, how do you move forward? For me, I needed to go into my wound, I needed to go into the healing process, and I needed to understand why my life was turning out the way it did. Because if you're always working to heal the inside by taking action on the outside, it's not going to work. And I know that because I did it. You know, I got married, I had the kids, I went to school. I still was creating chaos in my life because the relationships that I chose and being really angry and not working through some of the things that really affected me. And I had to heal that in order to understand what was happening in my life. And a lot of it stemmed from cognitive dissonance, and it stemmed from not dealing with the past and not accepting the past and not grieving the past, because I had a horrible childhood and I wasn't loved, I wasn't cared for. My parents were both narcissistic, they both were enmeshed parents. They had no emotional maturity, and till this day they literally can't take accountability for their actions. Even though my mom sold herself for sex work in the cult and met my father in the cult, and they continued to do things like traffic me when I was little and have a lot of harm that was done to my siblings in the same way. So I thought growing up that that was normal. I thought growing up that this was how it was supposed to be, that everything was like that. And even as I got older and I got away from them, and I knew it wasn't normal, there was still that veil there because it's a secure attachment to your parents and you don't want to lose your tribe. So you do everything you can, like I did when I was little, just to survive, just to make sure that I was safe and healthy. And that continued and carried forward in my life. So I manifested toxic situations, drama, because I was living in fight or flight most of the time. So now that I've undergone the healing process and I'm working through all those triggers and emotions, it's rewiring your brain. And every time you don't respond to a trigger and you take time to sit with it and to sit in your body and to feel it, you start rewiring your brain and your nervous system. And that's when the magic happens. Because the more that you rewire your brain, calm your central nervous system, you have the ability to think. You can start breaking apart everything that happened, and you can start figuring out why you went from point A to point B in your life, and then you stop that. When you stop that, that's when you start making change, because you're breaking the pattern. So yes, it is about self-belief. It is about self-love. And it is about doing the things that you need to do to rewire. But a lot of the main commercial things don't want to deal with the ugly, right? We as a society are so conditioned. Oh, we feel a little bit of pain. Let's pop a pill. Oh, we feel a little bit of discomfort. Let's go run. Let's go do something to distract ourselves from the pain, from the thoughts that are happening. And that takes a lot of energy. When you suppress something, and then on top of it, you're trying to be like, ooh, positive thinking, positive thinking, positive thinking, it takes a lot of energy. So the shortcut is to sit with the discomfort and feel it, because once you sit with it and it metabolizes in your nervous system, then you create room to think. You create room to start feeling better about yourself, to start feeling like you are worthy. A lot of us don't feel worthy because we had parents that treated us as if we were unworthy, that didn't let us be who we wanted to be, who kept us small because of who they are and not who we are supposed to be. And it limits us. So if we don't heal the wound, it's just costing us extra energy. And if you want to manifest and you want to create the life that you want, you have to deal with the root cause, because if you don't, then the manifestation doesn't stick. You're constantly going to be manifesting little things, not the big things you want. I mean, before I was on my healing journey, I could manifest a lot, but it wasn't big stuff. I would just be like, oh, universe, and I would get the shoes I wanted in a size 8. But for me, that's not enough. I know that the world and the universe is me, and the world and the universe is you. You are God having a human experience. So the world is reflecting your mirror. It's reflecting you back to you. That's why you continue to get drama and trauma, because it's a reflection. It's a mirror of you. So when you start healing the inside, the outside starts to reflect that. And that's what the real manifestation is you start to heal the inside, and then your mirror starts to present you with opportunities, with synchronicity, because you feel good about you. So the way to rewire your brain and to do all that is, yeah, you can do all the happy-go-lucky guru stuff, but it's not sustainable until you deal with the wound. And then once you deal with the wound, you can really start going for it and thinking big and doing the big things and taking action. Because I sit here and I think about my life, and yeah, I could manifest money. I manifested $3,000 just a year ago like that for nothing. And you can. The more you heal the inside, the more manifestation comes out, and the more things come out, and the more things that you can get, because that is what you're reflecting to the universe. And that's what you believe in, right? Because you believe in yourself, and now you feel good enough to manifest this stuff. Therefore, the manifestation comes in. So I can walk through the mall and be super happy with my kids, and then see a $20 bill or $50. It happens all the time. It happens in little synchronicities and chunks. Or it can happen in big chunks, like when I sold my house in less than 24 hours sight unseen after I flipped it. You go for things, you take action, and big things happen if you believe. Now, I worked really hard to make that house flip, and I did a lot of the physical stuff, but then I let it go, and then the 24-hour sale happened. And I use that one a lot, but there's a lot of other ways that you can manifest things and you can do things. But even though I made $30,000 from that sale, I lost it almost immediately because my nervous system was still stuck in a child's age. Yeah, that's what happens. Whenever you have little t trauma or big T trauma, it gets stuck if you don't process it, and you get stuck at that age. And what happens is you go throughout life as an 8-year-old or a 12-year-old, and those are the decisions you make from that age. And that's why you keep having the issues that you have, because you're stuck at that age group and your mentality is stuck in that age group. And so you make decisions as if you were that age. And then when you heal, you start to be able to see that you can make different decisions, and you can make calmer decisions, and you have a lot more options to choose from. And the big thing is trusting yourself, and trusting that you're able to do this for yourself, and that you can be successful in anything that you do. And when you go through the healing and when you sit through it, that's when the change happens. Because it's difficult, and it makes you understand and trust yourself that you can do hard things. And the more and more and more that you do hard things, you are wiring your brain to believe and understand and trust you that you can actually accomplish this and that you can do this. And then it starts to bring you what you want. And it starts to create an environment for you. And it is difficult if you're not used to sitting with the wound. It was difficult for me because the pain in your body that gets held onto causes fibromyalgia, it causes diseases, it causes all kinds of stuff. And until you sit with it, it stays. I was on blood pressure medication, diabetes, thyroid, cholesterol. I was like an old person's bag taking all this medication, taking Effexor. And then they started on Wellbutrin. I got off all of it cold turkey because I had to in order to feel my body. The Effexor stopped working. The Wellbutrin was throwing me into psychosis. So I got off all of it so that I could reclaim myself. And now I just published my first book on my own. I'm about to publish my second book, which is a companion workbook to the first book. And I have a 48,000 word book that's in editing right now. Those are the things that I didn't feel like I could do before. Those are the things that I didn't feel good enough to do before. I've been wanting to teach and be on camera and to help people my entire life, but I didn't feel good enough. Now that I've gone through the healing, I am manifesting right and left. I'm manifesting the opportunities that I need. I am manifesting love, being present. And when you are present and living in the now with yourself, your world changes, your environment changes. So manifesting isn't just the woo-woo stuff and getting everything that you want. It's everything. And one thing that is really important to understand is that there are no rules in this reality. Literally none. There was a psychic that was bending spoons on television in the 60s or 70s, one of those. But kids watching this psychic bend spoons didn't realize that it was kind of a trick. He was warming up the spoons and doing it. And people bend spoons all the time. All the time. But what I'm trying to point out is that the children, they thought, oh, they saw him do it and they were like, oh, okay, well, that's something that is a rule that can be done. And started bending all their mommy's spoons. So it is directly correlated to your belief system and whatever rules you think are real in your mind. Now, this doesn't mean you go jump off a roof and think you can fly, because I can tell you right now, there is no belief that you can override that you can fly off the roof with nothing. Unless, prove me wrong. Please, I want to be proved wrong. But I feel like this is a default consensus reality we live in, and the rules are that we all agree that you can't jump off the roof and fly unless you're in an airplane, right? So don't go do that, because there is that reality consensus that you believe based on your belief, and then there's also your reality that you can continue to create in those rules, because we set them for ourselves, right? The Egyptians moved things with frequency and sound. That was their rule. That's what they believed in. That's why you see the pyramids that way. That's why you see Göbekli Tepe, or whatever they call it, and these big blocks, and you go to Peru and you can see all these stones that have been melted together because things were moved and created with frequency and vibration. And that's what the belief system was. Now ours is that we can't fly without an airplane. And everything else is up to you. So you can really create anything that you want. There are no rules except for what you believe in. Now that sounds kind of funny because I'm saying, oh, it's a default consensus reality. Yes. But you can still override your default consensus reality if you do it over and over and over again. I would love to see somebody fly off the roof. Right now, you are seeing people that are recording themselves doing all kinds of work, kinetic energy, moving their chi, because we are coming into an age where science and magic are colliding, and people are able to do those things. And it's all manifestation. All of it. You can manifest yourself. And that's really what manifestation is manifesting yourself, what you want. I don't want to fly off a roof, okay? Flying would be very fun for me, very cool, but in this human experience, that's not at the top of my list, although it would be very awesome. At the top of my list are love, companionship, tribal love, healthy friends, a healthy life where I feel fulfilled and I feel good about me. And we live in a society where money is making us stressed, and it makes us feel like we are unable to do anything but worry about it because it's valid, right? We have to pay bills. But what we can do is control the way that we react to it and acknowledge it. Acknowledging that it's hard, acknowledging that it's stressful, and then telling ourselves that a solution will come and that we are God having a human experience and that everything we see is our creation. So if you can look at it from a point of curiosity and say, what is happening to me right now? What does this mean? How does this have to do with my life? And what is it trying to tell me? Because if everything is a mirror of you, of your internal state, and if you're not where you're supposed to be, and if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you will change that reality and everything will fall away. And I'm telling you right now, my entire life fell apart after my NDE because I commanded my brain to show me what was real and show me how to fix it. And immediately afterwards, everything fell away. My memories started coming back. I started to see where I'd gone wrong. I started to see everything because I commanded myself. And so if your life isn't where it is supposed to be, that's the time where you need to ask curiosity to help you find out what is happening and why is this mirror reflecting this? What can I learn from this? And how can I change it? And I'm telling you right now, if you are not honoring your little self inside, your little self is going to take control. It has been in control this whole time. You just didn't know it and you were fighting it, and that's why things have been so hard. But your little self is in control. And whenever it becomes too much, people can call it burnout, people can call it whatever they want to. But it is literally your soul, your spirit, your inner child saying, enough. I want to grow. I want to learn. I want to experience the things that I've always wanted to do, and we're done here. So when things start falling away, it's because you don't want those things anymore. You think you do. You get stressed out. You're losing money. You're going to work. You're tired all the time. It's literally because you don't want that life anymore. And so your energy is being withdrawn, and you don't get it because you are operating from a different state. And as soon as you step back and you say, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? And what is it that I need to honor so that I can be doing what I'm actually supposed to be doing? It's not going to change in the way that you want it to. It will completely stop. It will fall away until you start doing what you are supposed to be doing. And no amount of manifestation is going to change that. No amount of, like I'm saying, the manifestation rituals is going to change that. Until you start being truthful to yourself and you start embodying who you are, that's what they call the midlife crisis, right? It is literally just your soul has had enough of pretending, has had enough of just walking through life and not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So if you don't do it, everything that you touch is not going to come out right until you start honoring who you are. And that's just the way it is. Okay. I know that sounds hard. I mean, at least for me, it sounds hard. Like, oh, you got to do the deep work. You don't actually. You know, if you don't have deep work to do, then by all means, do the mindset meditations. Go with the tools. But if it's not working, it's because there's a mismatch between what you're trying to do and what your soul wants to do. And until that comes into alignment, you're always going to be manifesting things that are a little bit off, or you're not going to be able to sustain that manifestation. So once you do the work, and this is really important, the work isn't just about going into the wound and like figuring out your existential crisis. It is about moving on after that. A lot of people get stuck in the wound. But a big part of healing, and this is where I'm at right now, is letting the manifestations come and feeling safe enough to let them come. To feel safe enough to open yourself up to love, and feel safe enough to start taking action towards your goals and the life that you want. It's about letting yourself be happy. And when you've had 43 years of a bunch of fuckery, that can be hard to do. When you've had so many things happen to you, that can be really hard to do. But when you get there, and all it is taking consistency, taking action and be consistent with that action, and letting yourself open up to the micro movements and the micro feelings of joy, because your nervous system doesn't understand or know what that feels like. So you have to practice it. You have to remember the times where you were the happiest and embody that and let that come in. Because remember, your internal state is what manifests into your reality. So you go through the wound, and then you have to allow yourself to be happy. That's the biggest part. Because we know what happened to us. And even if you have cognitive dissonance on a level, you know what was wrong, what was right, and what happened to you. The biggest part of it is letting yourself allow it to come in, and not just for microburst of your $20 here or $30,000 there, or the car you want coming, or this or that. I'm sorry, those things are really small to me. Money can come and go. It's ones and zeros in energy. It's your belief system and your feeling about yourself that allows it to come in. I want love, connection. Those are the things that I want to experience. I want to travel. I want to see things. I want to create meaning with my life and share that with people. That's my manifestation. And it took me years to get here. It took 4 years of deep, intense pain and healing work. And for the last year, I've been doing the joy and the happiness. And my confidence went from 0 to where it is now. Even though I have 3 degrees, even though I flipped a house and sold it in less than 24 hours, I can name off all my accomplishments. Even though I had all those, I still felt worthless because of my wounds. And I was unable to feel happiness. I was unable to feel joy and to feel presence because I was constantly in fight or flight. So a lot of people talk about the things you're supposed to do, and it's fractured. And I say it's fractured because the positivity and all that stuff is manufactured until you heal this part. This is all manufactured until you heal this part. And you can manufacture it. You can convince your brain and you can do all that. But if it's stuck in your body, it is not going to be sustainable. Not at all. My mother makes a lot of money. But it's not sustainable because her body's fractured. So you keep chasing. It depletes and you keep chasing, it goes back up. It depletes, you keep chasing, it goes back up. But what are you enjoying in that space? Are you happy, or do you feel love? Do you feel fulfillment? Are you constantly worried about the next dollar, where it's going to come from, and you're not able to sit there and enjoy it? I don't want instability. I want to be in control. I want to be able to manifest my desires and my life the way that I choose it, feeling good about me and feeling good in my body. Because what's the point of experiencing all this if you can't be in your body and you can't be present? What's the point? There is none. So, to recap, manifestation is everything. It is everything you see, it is everything you do, it is everything you speak, it's everything you hear. And when you are not able to manifest the things you want, it's because there is a mismatch between your soul, what your soul wants, what your spirit wants, and what you're trying to do. If you are stuck in the frame of mind that the computer is taking care of everything, then the computer is going to be running on a program. And when I say computer, I mean your mind, your brain is running on a program. It's running on the past, it's running on preconditions. It creates neural pathways in your brain. That's its job. So if you are associating your life by your brain and not the soul, that you're God having a human experience, or consciousness or awareness or whatever you want to call it, if you are not aware that that's you, then you are constantly running on a program. And so you have to change the programming. And the only way to change the programming is to connect with your spirit, connect with yourself, and soothe who you are. I know that Dolores Cannon says, oh, whatever happened to you, forget it. Forget it about it. So what? It happened to you. So what? Move on. Okay. I challenge anybody who goes along with that line of thinking to trade places with moi. I can set out all the things that happened to moi in my life. You want to be trafficked before the age of 6? Dolores? Yeah, I don't think so. People that say to forget your wounds have never lived in them. Dolores is not living anymore, but she was a white woman. I'm not white. I did not have the privilege of a lot of what she had. So it's easy for her to say, It's easy for a lot of people to say, When my husband was doing a lot of things that were harmful to me, one of my best friends was like, leave him. I had 3 kids. I was single. I had let him take the reins on his career over mine. So I didn't have the earning potential. Now my friend had only been with one person her entire life. That person was in the military. She had no education. She had 2 kids. And she was very tall in her pulpit saying, you should do this, you should do that. And if that person is not willing to trade with you, then do not take what they say. Because it's easy to stand from a position that you think in your glass house is going to work. So don't take people's opinions. Your life, your trauma, your feelings are the only things that matter. And unless that person has the gall to do exactly what they're telling you to do, which she didn't, then there's no point in listening to them. If you wouldn't trade lives with them, don't listen to them. If they can't stand in the salt that they're throwing, don't listen to them. Your manifestation, your life, is literally your rules. And it's hard when you've grown up your entire life in a structured school, job. You don't think for yourself. It's very hard to know what you want, especially if you have trauma, because that can fracture your sense of self, and then you don't know what you want. It's even harder to manifest if you don't know what you want. All you're going to manifest are your $20 bills on the ground or your perfect shoe you want in a size 8, But those are not the things that most people want. And you need to ask yourself, of the things I want, am I responding out of scarcity? Am I responding from a nervous system that's in fight or flight? Because if it is, you're not going to get it. And it's going to take a ton of work to try to even get there. So this has been a longer episode, and I really am hoping that you enjoyed it and took something from it. And next week's going to be a little bit funner. We're going to talk about funner. I don't think that's a word, but we're going to talk about it. And I really appreciate you for being here. And I love you, mean it. Bye.